Quincy, I worked with Virginia Wicks.
Who?
Virginia Wicks.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I went way back with her.
Yeah,
Woo.
yeah. I worked with her for a few years.
Is
before
she
she
still
passed.
here?
She passed last
Oh,
year.
she's a great lady.
Yeah,
Great lady.
great lady.
Justin, you look
She
good.
was as ghetto as Sue Mingers.
Yeah.
And that's ghetto boy.
That red shirt
Sue
on.
Mingers was something.
Oh.
His house is right around the corner from where I live now.
When is this film coming?
You get in here.
Pardon?
When is it coming out? What's it?
It's coming out tonight here, and 19th in New York.
Oh, Friday is LA.
Yeah,
This Friday.
Landmark.
Okay, Friday.
Landmark
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Friday,
I don't know.
Yeah, Friday this, and then we know October 3rd is New York premiere. I mean opening. Yeah.
See, he knows everything. That's good.
Oh,
It's your life.
I'm
That's
glad
what it's
because I
about,
don't.
So now you're a movie star, right?
Oh, yeah. And Candy too.
yeah, I was about to say
Oh,
the real,
yes.
the real star.
Candy got an attitude
Chair.
already.
Yeah.
Candy wants a raise.
Her price is going up.
Well, I'm telling you, you know,
Sweetest camera in the world.
if I have to tell people,
Beautiful.
everywhere we travel, you know, her rider is going to be longer than mine. Got to have the right kind of dog bowl. Got to have the right food. You know,
Yeah.
she knows what's going on.
Justin, when you think back to that competition, did you think when you did not win, you would ever be in this position?
Oh my God, no! Are you kidding me? You know, at the moment, I just thought, let me just try to recover from this, you know, and get back to practicing. Really, you know.
Then the
just
Jewish
get-
side jumped out.
Jewish man. I'm Catholic, man. I'm talking about Jewish, man. This is Kauflin, and he thinks I'm Jewish. Good gracious. But yeah, you know, it's no, absolutely not. Could I have, you know, yeah, exactly. You just go with the flow, and I got to meet this amazing person, and just kind of went from there. So.
And Quincy, I think about the conversation you had in your head you must have had. I can't get this kid out of my mind, is what you say in the movie.
You what?
You couldn't
Yeah,
get him
right.
out of your mind.
No
What
way.
was it what was the sound that you were thinking of?
What?
What was the sound that you were thinking of that kept Justin in your head?
Music, man. Just 12 notes. And everybody has to decide what to do with them. The same 12 notes. Everywhere from Brahms, Bach, and Beethoven to Bird, or Diddley and Basie. Same notes, man. And we have to make those notes yours. When we worked with Sinatra, he used to call Basie splang. Splang, splang, splang. Because he's the most minimalist, like Miles Davis. We used to call him the jazz Picasso, you know. They knew how to use space, everything else. It's amazing. Jazz is the most amazing thing, but it's an ideology that I think that transcends just the music too. This is a way of thinking, the freedom. And Nadia Boulanger always used to tell me, the more organized and disciplined you are with the other things, is what gives you more freedom. And I didn't realize that, though. And she's right. Because jazz is not just you just play anything you want to do. There's an amazing foundation there, you know.
Yeah.
And we know how to use that foundation and how to use the freedom, too. It's just astounding. Most of the amazing music I think on the planet.
So how do you think this movie will inspire young musicians today?
They will start listening to some other stuff outside of Kanye. I mean, don't put that down. Lil Wayne.
Yeah, but they'll appreciate.
Well, appreciate good music, and that's what I love about the group of kids we have, you know, kids, that they are taking music back where it belongs, where it never was before, and where it belongs. But they're taking the best of the past, you know, and putting their own soul in it, and that's the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And the way we do it in Russia, everywhere in the world. Remember, Gabor Zabor was doing the Hungarian Revolution. He finally went with Lena Horne. He said, "You guys doing that, the Voice of America show, gave me the courage to get through the revolution." You know? But it's powerful stuff. I mean, really powerful. Stravinsky got it.
My
Sure
favorite
did.
composer.
You got it.
Well, it's close to me. My son is in college in Baltimore, and he's studying musicology.
Who was?
My son.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in college in his senior year, studying music and jazz, but not playing it. He
Do you
does
know
more
Ben Carson?
chorale. Who?
Ben Carson?
Ben Carson, sure.
He's at Hopkins.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Nearby.
greatest doctors in the world. His number one book.
Yeah.
Well, when you think of, were you surprised when Alan came out of here and all of a sudden just started filming and just everything just started leading to one thing to another?
Oh yeah, no, the whole process was insane because from my perspective, Al and I went to school together at William Patterson. So that's where I met Al, and then Al was how I met Clark, because Clark lived by the campus, and when I got there, Al was already pretty close with Clark and the family. And so Al and I both joined Clark's small group, and so we were playing with him and visiting at the house all the time. And and how I actually got to know Clark initially was because of his diabetes. He was losing his sight, and he was having a tough time with it. And so I go to school at William Patterson, and I was like, man, I think you should come with me and visit with Clark, and talk to them. And I'm thinking, oh God, we're going to go by Terry's house. That's pretty crazy. So we go, and I lost my sight at 11, so I was already totally blind, and I could sort of share with Clark my experiences and say, things still are okay, still got music, still able to do a lot of things that I love, and also it just gave him somebody with some perspective who's already there, but also it gave me a chance to spend time with him, and we stayed close over the last, I guess it's been like 8 or 9 years now, and we all kind of go our ways. Al goes back to Australia, and the way it worked is, a company from Australia wanted to do a film on Al and Clark, and that fell through. So he decides he's going to do it on his own. He's like, well, whatever, we'll make it ourselves. It can't be that difficult. And, starts filming Clark. And I just so happen to always be there because I'm with Clark all the time, just making trips. So Al says, would you mind if we filmed you as well to show the the mentorship process? And I just figured, sure, nobody's going to see this. It's my buddy, he surfs all the time, he plays drums, not a filmmaker, but and like you said, stuff just happened. When I said that, I told him, I said, man, you're going to have nothing to film. This is so boring. I'm living in New York, I'm working a little bit here and there and stuff, but it's not great, and good luck finding something interesting. And then life happened in the last 4 years, and it was incredible that he was able to be there for that. And it's been an incredible journey.
300 hours of
350.
footage later, yeah. 350. Well, for me, first of all, I cried all the way through the film.
You did?
I cried all the way through. It goes deep.
Beyond music, it's about humanity.
Beyond.
Yeah.
And for me, of course, the love. The love
Yes.
is
Powerful.
so powerful. And also just being part of that sacred chain, that legacy that Clark's, you were his first student, for God's sake, right? I mean,
And he got the socks.
oh,
That's so beautiful. That touches you.
so beautiful. And that scene where you're there with Clark, it just, and talking with Al and realizing how he came to know Clark, and he was going to go back to Australia, and then he happened to bring you, and then you happened to show up. It's crazy. But it works on so many levels. The
It's
teaching.
like divine intervention, isn't it? And it just continues. All
Yeah.
connected.
So, Q, I know when you brought Snoop and Terrence down to Arkansas to see Clark, what is Clark's perspective on hip hop music now these days?
They were all ready to do it. They both from East St. Louis, I lived there when I was a kid with my grandmother, and it just fit like a glove. Mumbles and rap, that was preceded rap, way before rap. And what's amazing, it's not an accident that it turned out to be bebop, doo-wop, and hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
Nothing close to each other, but they all go together. And I saw all of it
They come from
formulate.
the same place.
Huh?
They come from the same place.
Not really.
A little bit.
Well, they come from the same people,
From the
yeah.
life, yeah.
But not,
Not
they had
musically,
no
not the same
idea.
place.
And then the rappers started to take all of the hip hop slang and everything else, like Leslie Young was calling basically Homeboy 90 years ago, and Cribs and all of that. That's all bebop, man. That's way back to Babs Gonzalez in the 40s and 50s, and it's all connected. And the sad part about it is they don't know where it came from. And that's what I'm so passionate about. We got a 400-person consortium put together definitive American music curriculum because they don't know. And I talked to Ludacris and Drake, Common, In your mind, when was the year that hip hop started? They said about 1971 with the Black Panthers and Bill Scott Heron. Man, we were rapping in Chicago in 1939 when I was 5 years old with the Dirty Dozens, Signifying Monkey, and the Titanic. They was all talking about your mama, you know. And that goes back to the Bongi praise shouts in Africa and the griots, oral historians, and it's all connected. But they should know that, you know. And that's why the jazz evolved a different way than hip hop did. Because the rappers are monsters. They like the jazz guys. And LL Cool, when I first met him in '85, he was 15 years old, and he said, "What do the musicians and singers think about us?" And he knew it was a third category, but they didn't know where it came from though. And that's the part I wanted to know, because if you know where you come from, it's easy to get where you're going. And the musicians knew, the jazz guys knew. King Oliver influenced Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong copied him, became his own. Roy Orbison copied him, became his own. Dizzy Gillespie copied him. That's the way it works. You pass the baton down. You know, but that didn't happen in either three of those areas we're talking about with bebop, doo-wop, and hip-hop. They didn't know each other, you know. Because it was Lionel Hampton and Julie Jordan that started rock and roll in the 40s. Forget about Presley and Bill Haley. That's where it came from. I was there.
So since they did a movie on justice, Quincy, when they do a movie on you, what do you hope they get right? What do you hope they get right when they do a movie on you?
I don't know.
Well, you got a movie on you. Listen up, right?
No.
Because you know they're gonna.
Yeah, they keep talking about it, yeah. I don't want them to do that right now. I'm a kid, man. To start, my doctor promised me to keep me at 110, so I got my ways to go. Let's see, nanotechnology and a genome breakthrough, it's possible.
Well, and I thought so wonderful that you're, mentoring Justin in a way, as Clark mentored you, and as Clark mentored you, and it just keeps on keeping on.
That's right, but that's the whole idea, is that baton keeps getting passed down, and even if it's inadvertent, like our relationships. I love him. Nani Boulanger told me when I studied with him in Paris, your music can never be more or less than yours as a human being. That's the bottom line. He's a great human being. That's why he's a great musician.
What was your first tour like when you went out?
When I went out?
Yeah.
What do you think? It was crazy. It was a remarkable experience. Quincy, just being with all these other really great musicians and playing in front of these audiences, so I mean, large, but also so appreciative. It's quite an experience. You just hope. The idea is to work really hard at your music so that you have something to share with people. That's what it's all about. It's the essence of, Clark's whole career is based on sharing, whether it was with his music, when he was playing with Ellington, Basie, and then when he was teaching and sharing not only the music, but the love of the music with his students and inspiring them.
Yeah,
so, to be able to take part in that in any capacity is like just a real blessing for me. So I can hope to take part in that legacy. I feel like Al did a wonderful job of capturing the process of capturing, how selfless Clark is with his students and in his life. And I think that's an incredible thing that he did to share this with so many people that would have never been aware of it. And then for my part, as a musician, to share it, hopefully with the music that I play, but also to pass on what I got from Clark and from Quincy.
Time is in your hands now.
Yeah. Whether I like it or not, I got to do it. It's a responsibility. So, when you're blessed, you definitely got to keep that moving.
That's right. It happens automatically. That's amazing. In 50 years, you'll be a Clark.
That's right.
Well, and what you give to Clark is so profound,
right.
Justin, and that keeps him going too. You can see it.
That's right.
It. And two of my favorite parts in the film were when looking back on Clark's career and that moment when Dizzy says to Clark's wife, "Do you know who you're married to?"
He said, "I certainly do."
and then when you say to Justin, "You're looking at the greatest that ever lived," and to me, it's also about the acknowledgement of Clark and his contribution, and that's really important too, that we
So
recognize
monster.
and acknowledge, you know.
Monster.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Him and Clifford Brown boy.
Oh, yeah, Clifford.
Please.
Give me credit.
No.
I played next to Clifford boys. They frightened me. You know, I know trumpet players back then. And I remember Clifford, and I said, well, he said, I like to write arrangements and stuff too, man, but I like to play more. I said, well, I like to arrange, but I like to play too, but I like to arrange more. I said, I'm gonna be arranging, maybe a trumpet player.
It works.
You can't follow Clifford boy.
Yeah.
Ooh, he was frightening.
But with Clark, I think it speaks to his humility too, to be a mentor. One thing that he says is, when you're teaching, you're learning.
Yeah.
And that way the relationship isn't just teacher-student. It's
Mhm.
definitely
Yeah.
between friends, or, with all of his students. He's
Amen.
that way. He's so humble to
Amen.
be able to recognize the fact that just because he's, quote unquote, the teacher, that doesn't mean he can't gain
Knowledge.
stuff of value, out of the relationship. And
Yeah.
that's
He
what makes
grows too, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that they always used to tell us when we go, always have humility with your creativity and grace with your success.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to get the kids today to do.
That's what you're doing. That's all what you're doing.
Yeah.
Justin, what would you say to get the audience to come see Keep On Keepin On?
I mean, Quincy always says, if you want to see a real story, and I think it's safe to say, and be inspired by an incredible man, Clark Terry, then go see this movie. It's even though I was in it and I'm watching it and I lived it and everything, I watch it and I'm still, like, man, I gotta figure out, I gotta do better, today than I did yesterday, because Clark is always striving to do that. So, yeah, just a true story.
Yeah. It's the most truth I've ever seen in my life on the screen.
We still can't believe it. When Quincy
Organic.
comes into it,
Organic is so
Right?
what? How did that happen? I thought.
No, I like accidents too. You have a
Yeah.
drummer,
Oh, absolutely.
drummer shooting footage. I'm over there to record Snoop Dogg and Clark.
Yeah.
That's what I came over to. All
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Amazing. It really is. I mean, you watch it, that's why I cry every time I see it.
It must be interesting for you, Justin, too, to kind of see, the progression of your relationship over this 5-year period of time,
Yeah.
looking back for you now. What do you think?
I think that I'm incredibly fortunate to have had the experience, or could still have the experience of knowing Clark and visiting with him and being with him. And then to realize that 20 years from now I could still visit that. So like, just to visit that this window into both of our lives. It's been an incredible journey from the beginning of knowing Clark, and all the things that I've learned from him, and all the ways that I feel that I've grown and that I hope to continue to grow. We talk about stage fright, and thanks to the help that I got and the people that I've been able to be around, it puts things into perspective. I always watch it now and I'm like, oh, would you just get out of your own, get out of your own way, get over yourself, and it's just the growing process. It is real, so.
Do you hope that you can mentor others now that you've had, Dave
Absolutely.
Forward?
Yeah, absolutely.
He mentored you and
It's kind of a funny thing too, because while we're filming, one of the questions that Al would ask me is, "So you're going to get into teaching?" And probably 3 years ago, I said, "No way.
Wow.
I don't." When Al would ask me, "Are you going to teach?" And this is about 3 years ago, and I thought, I can't teach. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I have what it
You got
takes.
plenty of time, man.
I was going to say.
and then as we're filming, and then sort of close to the end of shooting or whatever, when they thought they would wrap it up, I had like 4 students. It just happens. It just kind of happens. And yeah, I definitely hope I can partake in that, however I can. I'm learning from Clark. We were just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Al, myself, and Paula, Dupree Presman, her son, Josh, we all went down to Clark's place, and Josh is learning to play the guitar and the violin, so he brought his instruments with him. So we sort of had this, Clark is chilling, I'm at the keyboard, got Josh here at the violin, and Clark and I are both, teaching him some melodies, and it was like wild, to have a direct sort of this is the process. You know, Clark is sitting there kind of critiquing my teaching. You know, he says, you might want to ease up on him a little bit, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's like, you're doing a good job, but you might want to, you know.
Lighten up.
And it was funny coming from Clark, because I said, man, you're hard on me all the time. It was,
You know, kicking your booty.
yeah,
man.
exactly. But it was just quite amazing to be able to have this thing where we can all look back on like, wow, this is it. You know, Clark is sitting here teaching me, and I'm here helping this young musician find his way, and he's obviously very blessed to have that experience with
That's
Clark.
the way it
so,
works, you know.
yeah.
I feel cross-eyed because I see it from Clark's perspective with you, and I see Clark from your perspective.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle, you know.
Yeah.
It's astounding, you know. It's
Yeah.
amazing, man.
Yeah.
Crazy, you know. You couldn't plan that if you.
Absolutely.
Quincy, what do you have coming up?
Hmm?
What do you have coming up that you're working
10
on?
movies, 6 albums, and 4 Broadway shows. And my foundations.
Talk about your foundation and why
Children's
that's
all over the world. That's all I care about. Soweto, Sao Paulo, Rio. All over the world.
All over the world.
Yeah. And I've been on that case a long time. I was with Mandela 49 years. I love it. I love it, man. And I remember one time he called and asked me to co-host a thing up in the northern part of Botswana with the kids where all of the age, you know, and they wanted me to come. They from 11 to about 17. They were running their own show too, and they were trying to whether they have to just stop sex or wear protection or whatever. And the kids kind of took over. So I got 6 gangsters from Spanish and black, male and female, and took them with me. We did South Central to South Africa. And in 10 days, man, they all those attitudes and stuff going on. I said, let's see. At the end of that thing, although the Shabbats went with us to Malcolm's daughter. At the end of that, these kids were on their knees crying, kissing Mandela's hand. We took them to hear the gospel choirs and all of that stuff, you know, just every bit of it that they'd never seen. And also, we promised him to build 100 homes with Habitat for Humanity. And I had them out there with the bricks. We were all building the homes in the orange farm there. It was amazing. And in 10 days, these kids were totally transformed now. They all executives working with kids to keep them from going to jail and taking care of them after they get out of jail. It's the most amazing thing. You just got to try it. And Bono, we go to, they did Live Aid first. They kind of forced us to do With the World, you know. They said, you guys aren't doing you guys ain't doing nothing, man. Come on, let's take them on. I'm not taking 46 maniacs on the road. No way. Record session. And we did it and sent over $1 million worth of food just to test street trolls in the water, you know. Didn't understand NGOs or the ground or anything. It was before the Eritrea conflict. And they took the $1 million worth of food, threw it on the desert floor, said if they wanted, let them come get it. And in 4 days it spoiled. And then Bono and I said, we joined it together like brothers. He just gave me this cross for my birthday. And we said, we got to learn the science of this stuff. And we did. We met every leader on the planet, shared that. And in 1999, we went to the Costa Gandolfo, which is the Summer Vatican, Pope Paul, and 25-minute meeting. Bob Geldof joined us, and so was Jeff, Jeff. And we made our mission statement, which is our HIPC Third World Debt Relief. That's what we were aiming at. And the Pope came out and he had an affirmation, a 4-page affirmation. He agreed with us. That was on a Thursday in September in '99. Bono and I went to Ez for 3 days, and that Saturday, the paper said because of that meeting, we got $27.5 billion debt relief for Bolivia, Mozambique, and Ivory Coast. It said 20 million kids in school. And that what means you just got to try. Even if you don't know, you just got to try. Go with your feelings, you know. And it educates you. And every time, you know, there's 2 attitudes, and I'm sure that he laid that on you, of defeat and victory, when you take the steps of victory and defeat. And if you take the steps of defeat, you got to get back up and keep hitting it, man. You can't get an A if you're afraid of an F. Hit it.
Keep on
One
sucking.
more time. Keep on trucking. Keep on keeping on. That's
sucking.
right.
Keep on
If
sucking
one
till
that
you
don't
do.
succeed, keep on sucking till you suck the seed. I love that. Clark is crazy, man. Yeah, something else.
It also
man.
speaks to the power of art to transform the world, to take
Yes.
that creative energy
Yes.
and really use it to
Yes.
transform hearts and minds.
And it has always done
Always.
it. Yes, always.
And you were in that part of that ambassador to the State Department
Yes,
tours
we
and go back.
visited.
I know that's from Virginia.
I was 22 years old. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I remember we went to Iran the first time, Abadan and Tehran, and they gave us this Iraq boy, messed us all up. Then you see the customs of the people, you know, they'd invite us to dinners, and the guy just said to his wife, aren't you married, man? He said, why don't you invite your wife? This says, our custom says, if you see something on my fireplace and you weren't married, I have to offer it to you. But if your wife is too, you know, and I said, you too, you have to offer it to you. I said, well, I understand. But it's amazing how it goes, you know. And in Baghdad, and I know I'm rounding on, but I'm just telling you the truth. In Baghdad, we went to Baghdad in 2003, because we'd been there 50 years before. And I went over to try to get 250 kids to the hospital in Washington.
Yeah. With all the things you've done, like a lot of noble things, how would you place this film in the whole perspective? Would you say it's one of your
It's all the
highlights?
same stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's all the same stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. It's an attitude, it's a state of mind, you know. Yeah.
It's very special.
And over there, there's a guy at the airport, a tall, blonde colonel, said, can I speak to you privately? They'd just taken over Baghdad, you know. It was dangerous as hell. The plane went down like that. RPGs, you know, barrel grenades could take you out, you know. And the head of the CIA gave us another plane that kept ours with Creed, Rania, and Jordan. And this cat said, he was crying when I talked to him. I said, what's the matter, man? He had shades on. He says, a vehicle charged a checkpoint last week. And they promised us we're going to be heroes over here. I have 3 kids and a wife. And they came to he did like that to the vehicle, which over there means come. This means stay. Just that, and that's what you got to deal with. How the societies are so different all over, you know. But jazz is always the same.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Music is universal.
Last question, right after Justin
You
responds.
tell me to shut up.
No, not, never.
Right?
No, all good. All good.
After that,
Justin, what are you listening to these days?
Everything.
Such everything.
Bach. I was just listening to some Bach. Good music is good music. But
Lil Wayne,
yeah, not recently. That's right.
Are you gonna play some gigs while you're in town?
No. Well, we're here. I'll actually be playing after some of the screenings or some of the showings of the theater. So we'll be doing some sort of impromptu performances this weekend. Then we'll be sort of on the road again. So
Wonderful.
just traveling all over. Well, we try to soak it in. I'm just listening to Quincy's stuff, stuff he arranged. You know, he's got these nice box sets that I bought.
Huh?
Got those nice box sets, you know. When Quincy, I'm thinking Quincy's probably like 23, 24, and he's arranging this stuff with the record you got with, Pogo. Did you do any record?
Right.
Art Farmer. Art
Yeah,
Farmer.
the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
With the
You know,
Swedish
try to soak it all
All-Stars.
in. Try to soak it all in.
53.
Good music.
That's great.
And Clark, of course. Clark. My favorite record is Oscar Peterson. There's 2 records that they did together. One with the trio, Oscar Peterson Trio plus Clark Terry, and then one they did duo. It's just Oscar Peterson and Clark. Forget it. You don't get any better than that.
Al talked about his love of Oscar Peterson too, because that was what kind of kept him from ending up back in Australia.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good
right.
going to
That's
see
right.
Oscar
Yeah, we're
Peterson.
gonna see him. Yeah,
Australia?
Oh no, you're saying
Al Hicks. No,
that
no,
kept
Al Hicks.
Al from going back to Australia.
Going back to
You
Australia.
went to go see,
Yeah. Because
Oscar
Peterson.
played the Blue Note, and that's where he met Clark.
Remember Jazz and Philharmonic days from it's like almost like a Rolling Stone concert. Tenor players battling each other and everything else. You know, Jack and Flip Phils. It was like the Stones. It was that much energy, you know, the 40s. It's great.
That is one really special moment that wasn't in the film. This is before, but we're at Clark's house, and Clark gets a phone call. He says, "Oh, it's OP." You know, thinking, "Okay, who's that?" And Clark is talking, and then he says, hands the phone over to me. He says, "Would you like to say hello to Oscar Peterson?"
Hello.
Oh my God!
did your socks come off?
Yeah, definitely.
The socks came off.
Yeah. Oh man, you know
I s-
that kind of stuff happened all the time.
I saw Oscar Peterson at the Bowl after coming back from the stroke, and I thought, my God, if this is how he plays after a stroke, I don't know what.
These guys, they don't know how to stop.
That's
It's the music.
amazing.
You live the music.
Beautiful.
People don't know.
It's beautiful. And then you decided to really invest in this project further when you showed up at Clark's.
But that was an accident.
Yeah,
I was there to talk to Dogg. Snoop Dogg was supposed to lead us.
yeah,
He was gonna do rap, and Pop was gonna do mumbles and do a thing together. They
Yeah.
were in St. Louis, something there. And he didn't show up, so we just went our own way. And they said, "Where did you hear this group?" And I did. Blew my mind.
You've been working with a lot of piano players recently. You've been working with a lot of piano players recently, mentoring piano players. Is it anything particular about that?
It's never stopped, man. But the 52nd Street on, man, it's just never stopped. Really.
But just in the last few years, like Alfredo
Yeah,
Rodriguez.
absolutely.
And all
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Like a kid from Cuba, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty well, I guess. Practices 14 hours a day. I'm 12 years old. He's been writing for the symphony orchestra since she was 5.
Right, Emily
She's
Bayer.
half Moroccan, half Jewish, you know. Amazing kids.
Emily, yeah.
And it's an amazing group of people, isn't it, man?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. Gumbo.
Nikki was just here. So I guess it's just the house writing a song with the guy. Some kid, a girl from Canada.
Yanofsky. The
So
Gumbo All
like Ella
Stars.
Fitzgerald when she was 2 years old. We call her wobble only because her legs went like that. They call Emily Lady Flea's knees. They're great. They're the greatest people I've ever met in my life. Yeah,
Geniuses.
it's a joy.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you, everyone.